All right, grab your coffee. Let's take a little walk through of Ashland Leather here in Chicago. And right down the street that way is Horween Leather Company. If you look closely, you can kind of see it 2 stoplights away. But come on in. What are you doing? You're looking the wrong way. All right. Welcome to Ashland Leather. The main floor here is where we make all of our leather goods, including the belts on the wall here. It looks like we've got our standard releases of some of the Chrome Excel belts, as well as some of these funky limited releases with different textures, different funky Western stuff. But let's start downstairs because I like a linear tour and show you how all the stuff is made sort of in order as we do it. So down here, this is where we keep all the leather, and I call it the leather dungeon because it's a little dark, it's a basement. So we've got all of our different leathers for all the different wallets we do. We've got Horween Cypress leather. We've got Horween Chrome Excel leather. We have all these different bins of shell cordovan, including some of the funky shells. We've got the dip dyed shells. A bunch of the leather nerds might know about that. But this is where we keep everything. We've got our belt strap cutter, all leathers here. We've got our clicker presses. And this is sort of the first operation that we do at the clicker press. So on the wall behind me, these are all cutting tools. They're called cutting dies, and they're kind of like little cookie cutters. So if you're familiar with my favorite wallet style, the Fat Herbie, we've got the back bill slot that looks like this. So one side of it is a sharp knife. We take these pattern pieces, put them underneath the press. This is a hydraulic press that puts literally a couple tons of pressure down onto the cutting tool and then cuts the leather out into the shapes we need. And that's where we start. This is actually a deceptively difficult process because it takes a lot of care and attention to make sure you're cutting appropriate thicknesses, appropriate selections of the hides to make sure that what you're putting in there is not a visual defect or something too thick, something too thin. It takes a lot of time. Speaking of which, sitting here on the table here, this is something called a weight gauge that measures in ounces and millimeters. Typically for most of our wallets, we're trying to get 4 ounces. This is a thin piece of cordovan here. It actually kind of feels more like 3, so let's see how good my gauge is. It's right on the money, 3. And I bet you this is a different thickness, so this is something interesting to observe. Every piece of cordovan, every piece, and then within the piece itself can range in thicknesses. So this is super thin, 3 ounce. This one feels closer to like 4.5, 5, 4 3/4. So my hand gauge is pretty good today. So down here is where we keep all the leather, cut out all the pattern pieces, and then we bring them upstairs. And I almost forgot my coffee. Don't want to forget coffee. I got to stay hyped for the shop tour. All right, going on upstairs. So imagine we've got our cut Fat Herbie, for example. The next thing we need to do is start preparing it for our sewing process. This is the first step that we'll do after we cut all the patterns. We will stamp our logo or a customer's logo or a belt size using these little dies here. So this is actually a fun one. We've retired this stamp. This is the 13th anniversary stamp that we retired in December of 2024. So never gonna use this one again. So probably should get it out of the bin here. But we keep all of our different stamps for everything we do in these pouches, including all the different belt sizes. And on top of that, every now and then, we'll get funky customer orders. So like different restaurants and bars, and like here's one for Baker's Shoes. I know there's shoe fans out there. We did a couple things for Aldwine a couple years ago. So keep all the stamps in there. And then you slide those stamps into this chassis. And this is a heated press. So you can slide that right in, lock it into place, slide it into the press, turn the heat on, And each leather gets pressed at a different temperature. So something that's really waxy, you might need to back off the temperature a bit because it will melt the wax a little bit too much and affects the appearance a bit. So you can change the temperature below and then you hand press it into the piece. Then we take it over here and we'll start to prepare the edges. Before we sew the wallet, we need to finish off any sections that are not reachable once it's sewn together. So for example, the tops of these card slots, or like the top of this, is not necessarily easily polished once it's been all sewn up. It's hard to get your polishing hand into the top of the slot there. So we'll prepare all the parts before we go to sew it. And then we have a few different sewing machines back here. A lot of what we do is machine stitched on these Juki machines, including the Johnny the Fox here in brown cypress. That's a really sort of epic looking one. The texture is more grainy than most. It's also really nice and shiny. But if you look at that one compared to this one, I mean, they're all different. And that's sort of the beauty for me. It's just how each piece is unique. But they're all sewn here on these machines. Some of the wallets we do require a special machine. So we'll use this cylinder arm here. So something like our small zip, it doesn't lay flat. So it requires a different machine to be able to stitch it all up. And then people that have ordered gifts or personalized wallets, we do that on our Thunder Laser. And they've come up with a good name for this one. It's called the Bolt. So it's the Thunder Bolt. If you guys want to buy one, you can pick one up, but this is where we do all the personalization. So it looks like somebody personalized ZJD recently. You can upload that into the machine here and it laser engraves whatever you want into it. And that's where we do that. And after that, we kind of come back here and do some final polishing. But let me show you the finished goods section. Keep all our packing supplies here. All of our hardware here, tools, polishing cloths, tons of polishing cloths. We do a lot of handwork, but all the shipping boxes here are things that we make ourselves. So we pour a little bit of wax on the boxes and then stamp our logo into it. So we have the wallet size box and the belt size boxes, of which all these wallets and belts will go into. So English Tan Johnny the Fox is our most popular color, leather and wallet style right now. That's the traditional style bifold that most men are familiar with. If you say the word wallet, that's probably a style they're going to envision. We also have some of the cordovan versions here. You can see we don't have enough leather available to make enough of the cordovan stuff, so those are often low stock. We've got a different wallet style here. My favorite, this is the Fat Herbie and Natural Shell Cordovan. This is the one currently that's the banner on our website. You can see day 1, day 100, day 1000, something like that. You can see how the leather develops the patina over time. This is the one that starts with. Another popular wallet style is the Capone Money Clip. We have an English Tan here. A bunch of different colors of Capones. We've got a couple Apple Watch bands. Here's one in Black Shell Cordovan. Valet trays are kind of hanging out in bags up here. We've got some of our Tanner's Blend, some limited release baseballs that I haven't put up on the website yet. This is actually a fun one here that looks kind of like a regular baseball, but this is in my opinion, a nicer leather from Horween. It's a leather they call Dover, but it kind of looks like a classic baseball. And let's see, we're kind of sold out of most of our limited releases. A lot of empty bins here, but we do have some B grades right now. This is where we keep all that stuff. We take pictures of the limited releases. If there's one of them, the one you see in the photo is exactly the one you're gonna get. A lot of people ask about that. And then coming back here, I think we skimmed over some of the belts, but at the moment we've got a couple Chrome Excel belts, not a whole lot of English Tan Dublin. We've got some other colors down there, including the new belt called Everyday Belt that I'm really excited about. But I wanted to show you some custom orders here. These are some belts that we made for customers that requested them. So I think we might even still have it up right now, one of these Color 8 Cordovan lizard belts on the limited release page right now, but it's like a size 38 or something. So we've had several people ask to have them made. We can do that for you. There's a longer wait time for it, and we're gonna charge you more money for you to spec it out yourself. But that's what some of these are here. So we've got a black gator cordovan, color 8 lizard, another color 8 lizard, some English tan 2-layer belt, another color 8 lizard, bunch of funky stuff. And then these I noticed are not completed yet, but these are marbled color 8 shell belts. Looks like a marbled green, which is cool too. But look, come take a look at the edges here. This is sort of the stage we're at linearly. These have all been, we cut them out, stamped them, sewed everything together, but we still need to finish off the edges. And we do that over here at this table using these tools. So these are bevelers, and they're all different sizes. So we'll bevel that edge to give it a nice curve. And then we do a lot of handwork here at this table, essentially applying a product called Tokonol. Let me show you what that looks like. We have different colors of Tokonol as well, but this is one that we use for black cordovan. You see the tip is sort of black, but this product itself, it sort of binds together all the fibers in the leather. So think of like a bowl of spaghetti. This product would fill in the voids between the noodles, and then it makes it smoother and shinier. And you do that by polishing this Tokonol into those fibers. And then the last step would be to polish the grain. It looks like Topher is doing some of that right now. We use 2 different products mostly. We want one for non-cordovan and one for cordovan. So often we will use, or in fact every time, we will use the Tanner's blend conditioner on all the Cypress and English tan Dublin leathers. This is really good for breathing the life back into any leather. We think it's so good that we'll use it on everything before we ship it to you. So if you buy one, don't use it right away. It's properly nourished to start. But for the cordovan stuff, we like to use the Saphir Mirror Gloss currently. I find this has a really intense fill to it. So if your leather's scratched up and you want to fill in the scratch, this will do a great job. In the same way that when you wax your car, you might fill in some of the scratches in your car. The mirror gloss here gives a really bright shine as well. Because sometimes, my only problem with this is sometimes it crumbles up, but if you put your cloth in there, or even your finger, and sort of smear it back into place, it sort of like liquefies itself and comes back together. So I like to apply just a very small amount of this to my cordovan stuff, especially on wallets. And this is what we do before we ship everything out. So speaking of shipping, this is also where we ship everything from. So if you saw it in the video today, this is exactly where it's coming from. We make everything right here, including the leather from across the street. So I think we kind of got a funky special thing going on that not a lot of people are doing. When we say it's local, it's actually made local. How's that?